But the human shoulder has literally evolved to throw. The shoulder itself is meant for circular rotation, but nobody ever trains that. But with the clubs, there's just so much you can get into with the way that the shoulder is actually meant to function, right?
Correct.
It's not just meant to press and pull and maybe do some raises. That's the only way people train their shoulders. It's actually meant to load up, to open up, and then to explode and close. With the Indian clubs, you get into what's called asymmetrical bilateral movements, where one arm is doing one thing and the other arm is doing something completely opposite. That is completely synchronizing both hemispheres of the brain. And you're just getting the mental benefits you get from that are mind-blowing.
We believe that you are strong by design, and you were made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. You're listening to the #1 strength and health authority podcast in the world. So let's get ready to unlock your potential and transform your life in today's episode. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode here on the Strong by Design podcast show. Sitting with my good friend, longtime friend of Critical Benches, Mr. Zach Zenios. And we have a lot of fun storytelling, your adventures over the years with this strength tool that a lot of people aren't aware of, which I want to kind of know more myself. We've talked a little bit about it over the last year or so, but I think a lot of fun to discuss a lot. You know, the way your life has kind of changed around this strength tool over the last 6 months. So a lot of fun for all of you listeners out there who are interested in finding new ways to train, finding new ways to move your body. Certainly from a rehabilitation standpoint, this is an area of the body that most people discover is an issue at some point in life, maybe in their 30s, certainly 40s and 50s, depending on your activity levels when you were younger. A lot of people who did a lot of heavy lifting have major shoulder issues, and a lot of people are just deconditioned and have a lot of atrophy and underuse. And so as they get older, they discover, my gosh, I can't even reach up over my head anymore. So I think this conversation really is for everyone listening, anyone out there interested in optimizing movement of the body, especially as they age. This is a really good episode for you to listen to and discover this new strength tool, newer strength tool for most people listening have never used these. So we welcome all of you to the Strong by Design podcast. As I said, I'm sitting here with the one and only Zach Zenios. He's a longtime certified personal trainer, NASM, I think, same as mine. Way back in the day when they were a young organization. When I first got certified with them in 1998, 1999, they hadn't been around for all that long. And they are well established now. And you are also a neurosomatic, is that correct? Neurosomatic therapist, which I want you to explain what that is in your words in a moment. A longtime yoga instructor, yoga teacher, RYT 200, is it? Which is basically 200 hours. So that's obviously a notable thing, which we've used to do yoga with you for a few years here. You've done tons of yoga content on our Critical Bench YouTube channel over the years in some products, yoga products. And so you're kind of a movement specialist in a way. Like you've been, ever since probably when you were younger and then going into the Marines, you've been into training, moving your body, staying strong, staying fit. And then when we first met you, you were fresh out of the Marines, probably within a year or less of being out of the Marines. And we just had you coming in here and training. You're always in terrific condition, terrific shape, and exploring new ways to train the body. Kettlebell training has been a huge part of your life for several years, as it was ours, Mike and my life. Back in 2013 when we got certified, and it was just like everything. Every workout had kettlebells in it. And then you moved into other areas like yoga, exploring that at a deeper level and getting really good there with breathing and just really being one with movement of the body, really understanding the body too, you know? And then in the last year or so, you started kind of a new path, a new journey with a strength tool that has you frickin' like juiced up. It's all you talk about. Seriously. I mean, you've been doing stuff with, you know, maces and kettlebells and Indian clubs for a bit, but something kind of struck a chord with you, a real passion, a real love for it. And I want to know more kind of about it and let our listeners know where it comes from, really.
Yeah, so I actually first got into training with Indian clubs back in 2017, which is the year that I met you guys.
Okay.
And I got out of the Marines in 2016. So just right about after getting out of the military, that's the same time that I got into yoga, Qigong, and Indian clubs, as well as sandbag training. There was just a multitude of things.
Yeah.
And I remember actually back in 2017, 2018, I came here and made some Indian club YouTube videos that still are, they're among the top. They're if you look on YouTube right now, when you type in Indian clubs, my videos with Critical Bench are among the top.
Yeah, you're right. You know, I forget that.
There's a video of me coaching Coach Brian
Yes.
on the reverse Indian club side mill. I didn't even think I called it the side mill back then, just the swing. This was 8 years ago. Right. So with Indian clubs, we're actually one of the first unconventional training tools that I got into right after the military. Because before that, when I was in the military, I trained like a hybrid between a power lifter and a bodybuilder, as well as, you know, there was some functional stuff with like sprinting and carrying people on your back. But my training in the gym was mostly powerlifting and bodybuilding.
Were you exposed to the Indian club in the military? No. But oddly enough, a guy that Mike and I did some content with, who was an instructor at our RKC event, so the Russian Kettlebell Certification course, we went to a workshop to go and participate in that to help us work towards our certification. And this guy Thane has his own place, I don't know if he still does, down in Apollo Beach. And we have an old video from like 2013 on our YouTube channel with Mike and I and Anthony doing stuff with Indian clubs. And I had never had one in my hand before. And we were doing basic, like not really any swings or anything. It was just kind of like a couple of like kind of basic. It was kind of like it was just kind of a couple posture really kind of things. And that was really all my exposure was until seeing you, I think, do it a few videos, like you said, about 8 years ago with Brian. But they've always kind of been largely like under the radar for me until this kind of explosion that you've had since last year.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got into Indian clubs back in 2017, 2018, as I've said, and they've always been part of my toolbox. I've kind of always used them just here and there to warm up. And then throughout the years, over the last 8 years, they've kind of come and gone within my training. Then back in 2022, I had another burst of, you know, I was making content and being consistent. And that's when I got into the mace training.
Yes.
And in all the swinging implements and all the tools that there are for this type of training, maces are by far the most popular. And while I do love mace training, I don't believe that they're for everybody. And I think that they're the most popular because they kind of hit that chord with a lot of people. Oh, they want to train like a warrior. They want to train like a Viking, like a guy with a big, badass weapon that they're swinging around their head. But the amount of shoulder mobility it takes just for the most basic 360 swing, which is the basic one around your head, it takes a lot of rhythm, coordination, and shoulder mobility, control, and strength. Whereas I can't just take someone off of the street and teach them how to start using the mace. It's a lot more limited, and it's a lot more niche. Whereas with an Indian club, I can literally, and I've already done this, take random people off of the street who have never even seen it, who look at it and they think it's a bowling pin, immediately teach them, not even the basic stuff, like immediately teach them a swinging exercise, the front mill, which mimics the throwing pattern. I could teach it to them in under 5 minutes, and they immediately start feeling the results. Because it can go down from 1 pound all the way up to 10 pounds. So it's the way that I see Indian clubs, it's literally for everybody. And just to answer a little bit of your question of why this is literally all I'm doing these days. Well, I just recognize that the power of club training is just not a thing. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's doing it. Nobody's really, it's just not a thing. And the problem with that is that the human shoulder has evolved for certain things, right? The human shoulder has evolved to be
It's evolved to this.
Yeah, now it's just everyone's doing
this and then this.
Phones and keyboards and all of this.
Yeah.
But the human shoulder has literally evolved to throw. And you might think, oh, throw spears or throw rocks, but also throw punches, which throughout the beginning of human history, that's our defense mechanism, right? We don't have claws, we don't have fangs, so what we do, we have fists and we throw punches. Then that evolved into throwing tools like spears or rocks. And the shoulder itself is meant for circular rotation, but nobody ever trains that. What do most people do? And this is like a top level trainer. The only type of exercise that hits this would be a kettlebell halo,
right?
Where you're taking the kettlebell and you're going around your head,
right?
Which is great. And I think it's a very foundational way, warm your shoulders up with some kettlebell halos. That's fine. And it's a good start. But with the clubs, there's just so much you can get into with the way that the shoulder is actually meant to function, right?
Correct.
It's not just meant to press and pull and maybe do some raises. That's the only way people train their shoulders. It's actually meant to load up, to open up, and then to explode and close. And to me, that's functional mobility, which is, in my opinion, even much better than just static stretching or yoga to some extent. Because if you're just stretching your shoulders and trying to get this overhead mobility in this passive way, you're actually destabilizing the joint. And you can get this mobility, but too much mobility leads to instability. And that's why a lot of yogis or a lot of people who are hyper flexible, they are always dislocating their shoulders. Their shoulders are never stable or strong.
Well, the shoulder, you obviously have a really good understanding of anatomy, physiology, with all your years of certifying yourself in various genres, if you will, of exercise. Talk a little bit about how unique the shoulder joint is, because it's much different than any other joint in the body. It's held in place by connective tissue, essentially, right? Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, well, the human shoulder is actually, there's no other animal that has the kind of, no other primate, which is, you can say our closest relatives, no other primate comes even close to having the anatomy of the shoulder, the human shoulder. Because they're all still pretty much working on fours. I mean, a lot of them, their shoulders have evolved to swing. Now, you might say that swinging or climbing is also a very foundational exercise and movement pattern for humans, but it's actually really not. We don't climb on trees. I mean, we should be able to, but we don't really swing or climb. We are bipedal on the ground. That is how we've thrived and gotten to the point where we are, is that we've been able to manipulate nature in a way using our extremely mobile shoulders, right? Now, the only other joint within the human body that is similar to the shoulder would be the hip. But even that is not even coming close to being the same because it's weight bearing, right? We don't have nearly as much mobility within the hip as we do with the shoulder, because the hip is meant to have a lot more stability. It's meant to have a lot more weight bearing properties, right? Because it has to bear our weight throughout the day. And as we walk on it, as we run on it, so we don't have that same amount of precision and we don't have that same amount of mobility. Whereas the shoulder, it's like the hip, but without the need to weight bear, it has a lot more freedom. It has a lot more, like I said, no other animal walks on 2 feet quite like we do. I mean, I guess you could say something like a kangaroo, but they have a tail. So they're actually walking on 3 feet.
That's right.
Right? So we have all this range and all this potential with our shoulders that are really untapped in today's fitness world, which blows my mind and is why I'm on the path that I'm on of just nonstop talking about clubs, because I really do believe that clubs can help so many people dealing with all the issues, because it starts with the shoulder, but then it goes beyond that, because the way that I use it that's a little bit different from the traditional ways of using clubs is that we're incorporating the entire body, right? You're not just going to get the shoulder mobility, but when you especially progress towards the later levels of training with clubs with Ageless Shoulders or with Zen Energy Club method that goes even deeper, is like, yeah, you're getting the shoulder, but you're also getting the thoracic spine to open with it. You're also getting the hip to open and close with the shoulder, which is something very missing in everybody's talking about training or athleticism or training athletes. Nobody talks about how the hip and the shoulder work as one. The hip and the shoulder should open and close together, like you watch a football, a QB throw, a quarterback, or a baseball pitch, or a boxer throwing a punch. The hip and the shoulder work together to generate that power from the hips, which really comes from the feet. Right. From the feet up to the hip. Then the spine has to rotate. The thoracic spine has to then go into the shoulder girdle, which then transmits the force into whatever you're throwing. And nobody's talking about that. And this is not just for athletes. This is for everybody, because everybody has the same body that was built to do the same exact things that nobody is hitting.
That's right. And you know, when we're younger, we have a tendency to move our bodies in very dynamic ways, participating in sports, athletic, organized sport. Throwing motions are kind of normal. Arms up over the head a lot with a basketball or a baseball throw or a football throw or any of this stuff. And so the shoulder kind of goes through this normal full range of motion in our youth. And then just like I talk about all the time how important movement is to brain, long-term brain health, good dynamic movement, it's really important to just putting a joint through its normal range of motion. But when you start to subtract all of that motion from your life as you get older, and now the shoulder is just used to only working in a certain range of motion, and it grows very weak and loses mobility, loses strength, loses the capacity to do what your body's intended to do. You go to do something later in life, 40s, 50s, and beyond, and you don't have it. You can't do that. You up over your head is like not even an option anymore. Throwing a ball, like it's painful, right? Like I've seen this. I've seen this in parents, like out on the ball fields where I coach baseball and stuff. I see these people throw a ball or something, and they're like, oh, I'm like, dude, what's wrong? You're not even that old, and you're just sitting there complaining about how your body doesn't work it doesn't work because you're not moving it anymore. And so that's the beauty of these is how gentle these Indian clubs are, starting, you know, at 1 pound, and then you can build up. But you can do all of these very beautiful, big, circular ranges of motion with the bell. The Indian club, I should say, sorry, and they feel good, and it's not intimidating, and it's therapeutic, but it's so much more than that too.
Yeah, so actually there's a lot of little points to hit on what you said. Yeah. Going back to the kids, one thing, and I didn't really see this, there's a lot of this in the traditional uses of Indian clubs, but the way that I'm really emphasizing too is this concept of play. Yeah. And your training should involve play, right? I think a lot of us, we get stuck in the paradigm of training needs to be suffering all the time, and training needs to be hard, and we should be dying every time, and, you know, tears of blood and like just dying.
Right. Lifting till failure. And
going crazy and it's like, yes, there's a time and place for that if you do it smart, but we also need more play in our lives. And with clubs, especially I've already seen this with people that I've gotten started with clubs, and now they just start inventing their own things and they just start playing with it, because the body will start to move intuitively like it did when you were a kid. Like when we were kids, our bodies were a lot more free. It comes down to the fascia as well. The fascia hasn't been hardened, so the fascia is able to just kind of flow and move more synchronized and choreographed in ways that as we get older and we move a lot more rigidly, we lose. But clubs can open that playfulness back up. And when you open this playfulness back up and you allow yourself to train in this way and have fun, and you do it with external weight, such as with the clubs, even if it's 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pound clubs, that will build the resilience in your life that will transcend anything else, because then you're allowing your body to move in ways that just comes naturally to you. Then you're not going to hurt yourself when you're just reaching back in your car, right? Because even you were talking about the adults throwing the ball and they're just not moving their bodies. But even people who otherwise you would consider fit,
right,
like a bodybuilder
right,
or a power lifter or just a regular gym bro who's training their body in the conventional way of, okay, how are we going to train our shoulder? We got a shoulder press. We got a
I got to hit my anterior delt here. I got to hit my medial here. I got to hit my posterior here. So I do these 3 exercises. Shoulders are good.
Yeah.
Hey friends, Coach Chris here, and I've got something new from our team at Critical Nutrition Labs that I think you're really going to like. It's our brand new apple cider vinegar gummies, a powerful way to support digestion, metabolism, and fat burning without choking down that harsh ACV liquid that nobody likes. These gummies taste amazing, and they're easy on your stomach. They're packed with B9 and B12 for extra energy and daily wellness. So if you're looking to control cravings, support your blood sugar, reduce bloating, and feel lighter overall, this is a simple, natural habit you can stick with. And the best part, we're running a special launch promo all month long while supplies last. So head over to criticalbench.com and look for ACV sale in the upper right-hand corner of the page. Take care of your gut, your metabolism, and your goals, one gummy at a time.
Or even in the more rehab field of PTs. I ask people now all the time who have shoulder injuries, and by far as a neurosomatic therapist, which is, I don't really talk about that, but it's more of a clinical approach towards massage therapy where we get people out of pain and it's more targeted. Right. By far, some of the most common injuries I see is shoulder pain. And then I ask these people, this is another reason why I'm so full send on this club thing, because I'll ask these people who are in rehab programs, what do you do for your shoulder? What do these PTs, these physical therapists do for your shoulder? Oh, we could do some banded, external rotations, some banded internal rotations. Maybe they have them, if they're a really good PT, they'll have them do some bottoms up kettlebell work where they're walking with the kettlebell in the bottoms up position for stability, which is great. But that's about it. And then they're just working their shoulder rotator cuff in isolation. And I'm like, okay, the shoulder is not for isolation at all. If you're a bodybuilder, sure, you have to do that, among other things you have to do to look good on stage.
Sure.
But the shoulder is not, it's not isolation. If you work in an isolation, you will train it in to work as an isolation muscle, and then you won't have the rotator cuff synchronized, and it won't work properly. It won't be lubricated in that ball and socket.
That's right.
So it's like, no, instead of working your little band exercises, how about you just get the shoulder able to throw? Then we don't have to, we're actually killing like 5 birds with 1 stone. Because if in a traditional strength training program, you have to have mobility, right? So then you got people doing their little PVC pipe. That's their thing. Then you have to do strength. Then you're doing your shoulder presses. Maybe you're doing some stability training with some kettlebells, maybe some Turkish get-up if you're really at the top level. Turkish get-ups are great. And actually, I say Turkish get-ups along with club training are the formula for bulletproof shoulders, bulletproof entire body, actually. But that's just missing. Nobody's talking about it. These big degrees and all the top PTs and all the top influencers and there's just a missing link. That the shoulders evolve to throw, and the shoulders is a circular rotation joint that nobody trains any kind of circular rotation.
So many of these people, though, too, it's purely aesthetics. It's not function.
Yeah.
It's not moving like an athlete, like a 20-some-odd-year-old, name your sport, top level athlete, meaning you're fast. You're explosive, you're strong, but you're not necessarily a power lifter strong. You're dynamic, you're resilient. Your body can just do things that defy the odds. A basketball player at 25 years old, who can jump really high, who's super explosive, super fast, super mobile, all of these things. But the thing is, most of us who are in the realm of muscle strength fitness, as we get older, we just create a bodybuilding program of some kind to follow so that we can be strong and look good, right? But it's not about how does this I'm not participating in like a soccer club, a soccer league, or playing sports or whatever. It's just about going to the gym and looking really good in a tank top and impressing people with how much I can lift. That's great and all. Good for you. Great. You're really good at like dialing in your diet and looking really good. And then maybe you're also doing some other things to try and blow up your muscles. Yeah. Synthetic things. But that's your choice, and that's your body, and you can do whatever you want. Function-wise, that's where I go. How am I going to be able to move as I'm on the verge of hitting 50 years old? How am I going to move the next 10 years or 20 years of my life? I want to be able to move well. I want to be able to feel good when I move. The looks part is a side effect of what my true goal is. My true goal is to be able to play, have fun, go for walks, go for runs, play sports with my kids, be active with my wife, and do stuff. That's my goal. Not, do I look good in the mirror? Mm-hmm. Do I impress people, at the gym? That's not my goal. But I don't know. Everyone has different goals. So I want to just touch on that.
There's a couple things to unpack on what you said. First of all, before we talk about the aesthetics, let's talk about the strength.
Yeah.
Because when we think of the strongest people, or who's really like strong, one of the first things that comes to our mind is powerlifters.
Sure.
Oh, you have 1,000-pound deadlift. And coming from someone, while I was in the Marines, I really prided myself on a really heavy deadlift. I was at 600 plus.
Really?
At one point. Yeah. And
but you were probably 185.
At that point, I was like 190, 195.
Yeah. That's good, though. More than triple your body weight.
Yeah, and so I was like really prided myself on a heavy deadlift, this and that.
Yeah.
The problem is, and we could actually intuitively know this, old man strength. If you think about like a farm dude who's just been on a farm, that dude, he can't bilaterally lift with a weight belt and straps, 500-600 pounds on a bilateral deadlift. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. But I guarantee you put that man in real strength, real world strength things, like let's say a strongman sandbag. Right, so I don't deadlift anymore. I do strongman sandbag. I have a 200-pound sandbag that I lift and do all kinds of things with, throw it on my shoulder. To me, that's real strength.
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't need to go into I think we've already actually on a prior episode talked about
we did talk about that. Yeah, we did.
But
you've been on a show a few times.
So with the clubs, right? Okay, we got the lighter Indian clubs. One aspect of club training that I'm getting into now is more of the OG clubs, which is actually the Persian meals. So it's called Indian clubs, but they didn't originate in India. They originated in Persia. The British Empire came into contact with it in India, brought it back to England, back in the Victorian era of the late 1800s, brought it to America in the 1900s, and it was the premier thing of fitness. Here, for those of you that know maybe the Biltmore, and we've talked about the Biltmore before in North Carolina.
Yeah, the largest, private estate in the country.
Built by the Vanderbilts.
Vanderbilts, yeah. Beautiful.
But actually in there, and I don't know if you remember this, but if you go down into their fitness area, and next time there's pictures of it, look at this. In the fitness area, one of the most, the predominant exercise equipment are Indian clubs. You look at the wall. There's a rack of There's a rack of Indian clubs. There's clubs and all different cool clubs everywhere because this was the premier form of training. If you look back, it blows my mind how popular Indian clubs were.
Wow.
Clubs,
so this would have been late 1800s, early 1900s,
early 19 up to World War II because there's actually video footage of the British Empire during World War II of their shoulders on the ships swinging Indian clubs.
Yeah.
Because this is, and there's like an announcer, like a commentator, like training with Indian clubs, and it's like from the 1940s.
Yeah.
So it was super, super popular up until after World War II, and then machines and then bodybuilding took over the fitness industry, and now the fitness industry is operating on the paradigm that was set from bodybuilding and powerlifting.
Right.
Because also you have to take into account the powerlifting aspect. Russia, the Soviet Union, and America kind of competing, and they wanted to be stronger and better. So our fitness industry here in 2025 is the foundation is powerlifting and bodybuilding, not the other realms of fitness training. Right?
Yeah.
And in terms of function, clubs are where it's at, because not only are you getting the shoulder, but you're also getting the full body. Even in terms of aesthetics, I did a little experiment on myself for the last couple months where I pretty much only trained with clubs. Now I'm getting back into, some of the kettlebells, the sandbags, and the sprinting. And I have to say, even through all the fasting that I've done recently, my shoulder aesthetics, my shoulders have grown. My shoulders have gotten aesthetically more pleasing to the eye just from doing clubs. Because again,
What about the rest of your body though?
rest of my body too, my legs, for some reason, it was a whole month of Ramadan, I'm fasting, and all of a sudden my legs are getting bigger, my shoulders are getting bigger, even though I'm losing weight. Because of the way that I'm using the clubs, it's not the traditional way. I mean, I have to be honest, the majority, like 60% of the stuff I'm doing with clubs, I'm kind of just making up. There's obviously the traditional stuff, the traditional swings and all the regular coordination.
Yeah, you're doing the reverse mills and the.
But I'm taking those and I'm just blowing them out of the water
correct.
in a more functional, athletic way. And even just the way that I'm standing with my feet. If you look at the traditional way, they stand in this military posture. They're very rigid, and their arms are the only things that's moving. Whereas me, just by making the shift, we're taking this athletic stance, feet under hips, toes pointing forward, allows you to pivot with the hip, and so everything is working together. And once you get down the rabbit hole of clubs, which I recommend getting started with the 1 pound, 2 pound, the light clubs, then you can get into the heavier clubs, and then there's just a whole world that's going to blow your mind. That was the first thing. The second thing, we talked about the brain as well. So one little side note, my dad, he's what is he now? He's 85 years old. And he ballroom dances. And ballroom dancing is what keeps him young, both his mental state, his physical state. It's just what keeps him young. And during COVID, there was maybe a period of the shutdown, maybe 8 months to a year where he didn't go dancing. He couldn't. He was just stuck in the house.
He must have been miserable.
Not only was he miserable, but I physically saw him age. In that 6 months to a year, he aged like 10 years. I would have conversations with him. He just wouldn't be all there. He would just, it was going downhill. And that's when I realized, like, oh my God, it's not like, they say old people go play bingo. No, like, don't do crossword puzzles. No. The reason why dancing was so powerful at literally reversing my dad's age, because then he went back to dancing and immediately he's like 35 years younger again, is because you have to, every kind of physical activity has a certain level of how mental is it and how physical it is. With dancing, it's like the perfect combination of, you have to remember the steps, you have to choreograph the steps, and then you have to move your body in alignment with the things going on in your head. With Indian clubs, it's the exact same thing. And then even more so with the Indian clubs, you get into what's called asymmetrical bilateral movements, where one arm is doing one thing and the other arm is doing something completely opposite. And that is completely synchronizing both hemispheres of the brain. And you're just getting the mental benefits you get from that are mind-blowing. Like you literally can grow gray matter in your brain, grow the motor units that is going to translate to you being more athletic, you being more graceful, you being stronger and able to access things more because you're being able to activate your mind and the hemispheres kind of get more synchronized.
Yeah.
Not only that, but then you take into account the fact of, any good martial artist knows, like, and even with kettlebells, I did the Strong First certification, you did RKC, which is the same thing. Our kettlebells are great at getting people introduced to the idea of relaxation versus tension, of being relaxed when you need to be and then tense when you need to be. It's like a rubber band. Like you take a kettlebell swing. If you're tense the whole time, you're not going to do very well. You're going to waste all this energy. You're not going to be able to explode. And the way that most people train, it's just, the difference between the grind and the ballistic exercise. Most people are like 99% grind, where it's like a shoulder press. You're controlled eccentric, get the isometric and then the concentric. And it's like every exercise is the same. Whereas the body's not really meant to move that way. I'm not saying those are bad, those are great, but at the same time, you need to get the body to the point where it's coordinating and synchronizing and okay, now it's loose and then boom, now it's tight. And then now it's relaxed and then boom, now it's tense. Right. And that fascial, the fascia system is just now starting to permeate through the fitness industry, how important the fascia is. But it all comes down to that, this neurological system of connective tissue that is able to coordinate the body. And that's how you get to see so many people do amazing things, whether in athletics, whether in art, whether in dancing. It's because they're relaxed when they need to be, they're tense when they need to be, and it just becomes like this poetry of motion that nobody's really training. Kettlebells are a great start to that.
Yeah.
But kettlebells are also limited. You can't do, you got what? Swings, snatches, you got some dynamic exercises, but with clubs, it's endless. I'm like coming up with new things every day. People send me videos of them freestyling with the clubs, and I'm like, oh my God, that's brand new. Now I'm gonna take that move, because it's like your intuition just starts to guide you, and there's just so many levels that people can benefit from: mental, physical. They can have fun with their training. They get to freestyle a little bit. I'm big on training outdoors, barefoot, get the plantar fascia connected with the glutes, connected to the spine, everything just working together as one.
Yeah.
And even if someone's a bodybuilder and all they want to do is bodybuild, even just 10 minutes a day of a little bit of clubs, you'll notice a huge difference.
100%. You've been in here a lot over the years, but certainly the last several weeks and months, as we've talked more about this particular topic, and of course creating the Ageless Shoulders program, we're sitting here playing with these 1 pound Indian clubs, and just how fluid and good it feels on your shoulder because of what it's doing to open up that shoulder and to get it through these awesome dynamic ranges of motion that are a great warm-up routine. And I've done them many times since before my workouts. I had a set of them at home, and I was doing some at the house, but I was doing them here just the other day. I only had 10 minutes the other day before I had to rush out of here to get to one of my son's baseball games or practices. And so I took the 10 minutes and I just did Indian club stuff. Just because I'm like, hell, I might as well. I don't have much time to do much of anything good, but I could do 10 minutes of Indian club. I could do swings. So I did all double stuff. I did double reverse side mills, double side, and then I did front mills, and it just felt really good.
I'll teach you the double front mill.
Yeah, you have to teach me a double front mill. What I would do is just hold one in my hand down at my side while I did the one side for 15 reps, and then I go to the other side. But it felt really good because you can squeeze a lot in a very short period of time. In 10 minutes, you can do a lot, hundreds of reps for your shoulders. And again, non-intimidating. We're talking a 1 pound. Think for people only listening and not watching, because we will on the YouTube video for this podcast, we'll share footage of you and stuff. So people will have seen you doing your thing with the Indian clubs, of course. But if you're trying to imagine an Indian club, think of a bowling pin, but smaller, not quite as fat, smaller, and much lighter. Only 1 pound. All the weight's really at the end, at the fat part. In the handle, it's virtually very light, and it just has a little round knob on it called a pommel. Mm-hmm. And but what's cool with the way you grip and hold this thing is that you can do all these throwing motions very naturally, rhythmic, and they flow, and they are fun, and they do feel good, and it's not terribly tiring, but you do feel in your shoulders after you do it for a little while, and it gets the heart rate up a little bit. And it depends on what you're doing.
There's levels to it.
So
like we could, for the hardcore people out there, I don't want you to think like, this is like light yoga, Yes, it can. This is why I believe clubs, as opposed to something like the maces or even kettlebells. I believe that clubs are for everybody, because I could take little old grandma who's hasn't never even seen a club in her life, has terrible posture, and I can get her started on some real basic things that will start to open her up. Mm-hmm. I can get an office worker who's just
you have seated routine. You could do these seated. Yeah.
So like literally little old grandma, office worker who's overweight, deconditioned, hasn't done anything, that's, this is an unintimidating entry to this type of movement and training. Okay, you got your hardcore CrossFit gym bro who's 6 times a day doing triathlons, David Goggins, oorah, let's go.
Right.
Okay. Take 5-pound clubs in each hand. Let's do some double front mills. Let's do some of these tornado mills. Let's go into what I call the world's greatest flow.
And they'll be dying in 10 minutes.
Okay, you want the next level? Let's get into what's called heavy club training. A 15-pound, a 25-pound, a 45. I have a 45-pound club in my house.
That's a two-hander.
It's a two-hander. Yeah. Okay. You want to go even deeper? Now I'm getting into the Persian meal, which are these huge clubs. Maybe you've seen them online before.
That's like the video you were showing me.
The video that I was showing you of you're at the Fit Bodybuilder Expo. You got these huge meatheads that can't even hold them up. Then you got this little Iranian guy who's got these things and he's just swinging them like nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, so then there's levels to it. So I don't want this to just be, it's gentle sunshine and rainbows. It's like, yes.
0 to 100 with these for sure.
Yeah. And as a yoga teacher, as someone who's done yoga, who's taught yoga, who was really passionate about yoga years back, I honestly believe that the mobility gains that you get from Indian clubs or club training in general on a functional level is far superior than yoga. The reason why is because with yoga, nothing's really driving the stretch other than time and you just kind of holding it. And people wanting to get really flexible for the sake of looking cool on social media or to be able to touch your toes. And with that, there's a lot of hypermobilization of joints and destabilization of the body. And then the fascia loses its connection. You're just continuously asking the fascia to open up, to open up, to open up. Well, it's going to lose the ability to close, right? So if your goal was to get your arm to be able to go behind your head, then you got options, right? You can do it where you're just stretching over and over again, trying to get it to go. And you'll eventually get it, but then you're not going to have the ability to explode, to be powerful. Or you can train with clubs, and then I can get my arm way behind my head in a functional mobility way that's driven by the fascia, which it can get those ranges of motion with control, but then it can also use power and strength in those ranges rather than just getting into those ranges for the sake of the flexibility.
That's right.
And so that's where I believe clubs are far, and that's why there's a hole in the fitness industry. Nobody's talking about clubs. Nobody's doing anything with clubs.
Except for us right here, right now.
Except for us right here, right now. And, we're on a mission to bring it to the mainstream.
Yeah.
And something as easy as a 10-minute routine, like with Ageless Shoulders, where you get a 1-pound club and it just opens up the door for so much more. And I've taken people who have never done it before and I've immediately taught them 1 mil. And oh my God, my shoulder feels good. Oh, it's like, yes, because this is what the shoulders was designed to do. It wasn't designed to do your little banded exercises that PTs have people do for years. It was meant to throw. It was meant to circularly rotate. Clubs train that. Clubs get that. And the amount of strength, the amount of athleticism, the amount of grace that you can build upon that foundation of clubs is endless. So it's not like clubs are going to replace other things. I would say clubs augment everything else and make them better. You want to be a bodybuilder? Get with clubs. You're going to move better on stage. You're going to have more access of your flexing, of your posing. You want to be a power lifter? May God help you. But do some clubs and you maybe can help reduce some of that compression. Yeah. Because a big benefit of clubs that we haven't even got into was the decompression of the joints. So just one more thing. There's a big trend now in the fitness industry to dead hang, to go on a pull-up bar and just hang. And while I think that to a certain extent that's okay in mild doses, right? I actually think that too much of that, especially if you're doing it passively where you're just kind of letting the shoulder girdle relax.
There's difference.
Again, you're pulling the shoulder out of its socket, you're destabilizing the fascia. The fascia is becoming more like Gumby. Your shoulder's going to become unstable, right?
I actually do dead hangs on purpose for 1 minute sessions, but I engage. I retract.
You're retracting the shoulders.
Yes.
And you're actually working
100%. Yes. I don't just hang there like I'm just hanging, loose and loosey-goosey. That's not how I do it.
You're smart with your body. You're experienced, right? There's a lot of people I see it on social media. How long can you hang?
Yeah.
And I see them hanging for
I actually do it for 2 reasons. I do it to decompress my spine and let my hips drop a little bit because I sit so darn much, and also for grip. Those are the two reasons why I do dead hangs.
Yeah.
Just to take a little bit of pressure off my spine and to work on my grip strength. And no real other reason, because I do enough other stuff for my shoulders. But I do realize, like, I'm not just going up there just to hang like a frickin', like I'm just doing nothing else for my body. I definitely pack my shoulders in and retract my shoulder blades.
So
It feels better.
Even better if you, like, let's break that down. So get stronger grip and decompress your spine. Something even better if, I don't think we have it here, but let's say a parallel bar or like a tall dip bar that allows you to just hang on the dip bar and have your legs go straight down. Ooh. In my experience,
well, we have our dip bar.
So you can adjust it and make it tall.
Yeah.
So try that where you just sink, and then you can even do some where you let your shoulders sink into their sockets and pack in, and then some where you actively push. Your spine will be so, because then it's not your shoulders. And your grip isn't the limiting factor.
I'm here.
And then to strengthen your grip, I mean, honestly, nothing strengthens your grip more than some clubs or some bottom up Turkish work, Turkish get-ups.
Yep.
So for me, in terms of anyone dealing with shoulder pain, I would say that the 2-step formula is start with clubs and incorporate Turkish get-ups. I would say that's literally, if you want the most minimal solution to not only bulletproofing your shoulders and making them resilient and fluid and mobile and strong, but also your entire body. Get into club training for that decompression of the shoulder, that control, that circular rotation, and then layer with that kettlebell Turkish get-ups where you're actively using your shoulder in a stabilizing way, packing the joint in for that healthy compression through crazy ranges of motion throughout the entire, I mean, think about a Turkish get-up. You're moving through everything.
Yeah, and a lot of people listening right now probably have no idea what a Turkish get-up is.
We have videos on our channel.
We do have videos on our channel. And Mike Willie, who's our instructor, and just fabulous with kettlebells, unbelievable, had us do our lion's share of Turkish get-ups in our training while we were, training to get our certification. And I continued to do them. I still do them. I've had a gap here of several weeks of not doing them. But I do like to incorporate those into my training, not even going to a full 24-kilo kettlebell, even just staying lighter just to get more reps in, because they are taxing. I mean, it's a hard exercise to do with a standard 53-pounder, 24-kilo kettlebell, but fabulous full body exercise. I mean, probably not much better you can do for your body than that single for everything.
Yeah.
For your hips, for your shoulders, for your core development, for your legs. I mean, just putting everything together. It's so. I urge anyone listening, go watch a video on our YouTube channel or.
We have tutorial. I have a tutorial on Critical Bench breaking down the Turkish.
I think you did one. Yeah, I forget. We've done so much over the years. Yeah. But yeah, you definitely did some instruction on that exercise.
That combination of Turkish get-ups in particular, but all kettlebell training to some extent, for the weight, for the compression, for that aspect, and then combine that with clubs, I think that's all people really need.
I know it.
And you could train from home, and I'm big on that, actually training barefoot. Okay, I know we got the barefoot shoes, the Vivos, the Zeros.
Oh no, today I have Vans on, so we can't look at my feet.
Sometimes you have the Zeros.
Usually I have Zeros on.
Barefoot shoes are great, but actually nothing just beats being barefoot.
That's right.
Especially if you're out in the sand, if you're out in the grass. There's so many benefits to it, and science is just now starting to catch up to it. We're learning about how the plantar fascia, the fascia at the bottom of the feet, and the big toe are intrinsically tied to the glute. So if the fascia in your feet, the bottom of your feet, and your big toe is not properly working, your glute will never be able to fire at 100%. Never. And then when the glute doesn't fire, what happens? All the little stabilizer and the muscles that are not supposed to be driving the movement have to take more of that primary role. Then people get all the pains.
Tell our listeners, what's the primary function of the glute muscles?
The primary function of the glute muscle is hip drive. Power is to generate the power for the entire body in functional movements, whether that's sprinting, whether that's throwing, whether that's lifting, whatever it is that you're doing, reaching down, like the glute also
extension of the hip,
right? Thrusting. So, I mean, the glutes are very, very important. And the thing with clubs, this is why, you're thinking shoulder. No, you can get some serious glute gains and glute power generated through clubs with the way that I teach it and the way that I use it because of just how I'm integrating the entire body into what we're doing with clubs. It's not just shoulders. It starts with shoulders. I think that this club movement is going to get a lot of traction with people just wanting the shoulders, but then it's going to end with your spine, with your hips, with your feet, with the entire body working together as a unit, working together as one. And the aesthetics follow. So people, I want to look good. You can't get big. You can't get jacked. You can't get like looking great with clubs or with these kettlebells. Like, no, that's not true. That's not true. With the right, with the right programming, with the right progressive overload, with the right said principle, because it's very fun. I don't understand.
If you are consistent and work hard at just about any modality, the side effect is aesthetics.
Yes.
Right? I mean, anything. If your only strength tool is a kettlebell and you work hard at it and you're consistent, you could probably have a great physique and be strong. If it's Indian clubs, same thing. If it's a mace, same thing. If it's dumbbells, same thing. If it's barbells, same thing, right? You and I could write programs for any of these strength tools. And if somebody actually took 6 months or a year or whatever length of time and were consistently working at it and regimented their diet a little bit, they would get the results they were after. Consistency is the toughest thing for people. And, it really is, truthfully. I wanted to talk to you about that, though, because you've become very consistent with your approach to using you have a routine. You're an early riser, kind of get out there in nature. You have a great area off the back, like a preserve off the back of your house where you like to go and do can you tell the listeners a little bit about kind of your routine and where a lot of your footage from your Instagram and stuff comes from?
Well, for right now, I'm a little, I don't know, I guess I'm borderline insane. I'm just like, I wake up and the first thing I think about is clubs. I go to bed, I can't sleep at night sometimes because I'm thinking about clubs.
You could be down some other path, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is pretty nice. This is very PG.
So I mean, I think I do have that obsessive.
Yeah.
I can't stop thinking about something. So if I channel it right, then I think we look back at history at the greatest people in the world, and some of them were like that. Kind of, you blur the lines. Is this guy a madman?
You think Jerry Rice was a little bit passionate about football, or Kobe with basketball, or MJ, or that's what these people did, right? They were consistent and passionate, and they got up early.
Borderline insane.
Borderline, but it also made them greats,
So my routine, I wake up first thing in the morning, I do my little routine, I get myself ready, I pray, I don't really do coffee yet, like first thing in the morning, I wait a little bit. I'm literally out with the sunrise, jumping on my trampoline. Then the clubs come out, and I just start practicing with clubs. I just do literally, maybe it depends on what I got for the day. It could start at half an hour. It could go on, if I got nothing, at literally 2-3 hours. That's my first session of the day. Then later at night, I typically do a second session, sometimes a third session. That's the beauty with clubs. I haven't overtrained with them yet. And I actually think it's really, really hard to overtrain with that. Now, when I'm getting into the Persian meals or the heavier clubs, then we're talking a little bit different. But with the lighter clubs, I'm talking my working weight with Indian clubs now is 6-pound clubs. So with 6-pound clubs, I'm pretty much doing everything, and it feels good for me. I don't think there's really much to the overtraining aspect of it because they're light enough. I'm working momentum. It's not purely muscle. I'm working the fascia, so I'm not overloading the system. And so I don't think there's much, I really think that people can train with clubs every single day, multiple times a day, and be fine. Yep. If that's all you're doing.
Sure.
Right. And I actually think that Indian clubs can, let's say you just had a really powerful and a really hard workout, right? Of benching or shoulder pressing or just upper body, lower body, your whole body's destroyed from barbells, dumbbell, and then you go do 10 minutes of clubs. I guarantee you your body will recover better. You'll feel better. You'll get more blood, oxygen, nutrients to the muscles you just tore up to then start the growth process. The joints will be unlocked. You'll open up the fascia after everything you just did. So it can be done as a warm-up tool, a cool-down tool, a main workout. I think that
a recovery day,
active recovery, a deload week, whatever. I think clubs fits in perfectly for anybody's routine. Right now, I'm just going insane and doing nothing but clubs because I'm also inventing. Every day I'm like inventing new moves and this and that. And that's why I'm just going a little crazy with it. But yeah, so training out in nature is key too. I know people.
Yeah, that's been a real big part of it for you. It's really therapeutic.
That's part of what I'm trying to do too, is like not create a trend, but just create more awareness of like, hey, you don't need to go out into the gym. You don't need to go out into a stuffy gym where it's nothing but machines and iron and fluorescent lights. People who are already inside working in an office or working in their house all day.
No fluorescent lights on here.
No fluorescent lights.
We have our skylights.
Yeah, that's all we need.
During the day, it's nice.
Yeah, because there's a concept of junk light, which we won't get into. But I really believe that people need to get outside more. You know, even if you're in colder climates, just go out inside, get some natural light, get some natural air, go barefoot, touch the earth, you know, grounding and earthing. The science behind that, just making contact with the ground, we're just scratching the surface of that. And it's a palpable feeling when you go to the beach and you're barefoot, or when you go to the woods and you're barefoot. You feel better. Because you're just more naturally in line. And so with clubs, with kettlebells, with any of these little things, you can just take them to your backyard, train outside, and get the benefit of it. Especially being barefoot in the earth with clubs, when you're pivoting, when you're using your feet the way that they're supposed to be, the whole body. Like, it all starts at the feet.
Yep.
And you did a whole program, Neurobalance, which is all about the feet.
Yeah.
And it's like, so this, you know, it's this holistic fitness aspect of trying to break the paradigms of, yes, bodybuilding and powerlifting and all these meatheads and steroids and all this will always be an aspect of the fitness industry. But how about we just offer another paradigm, right? Of not just CrossFit, because I think CrossFit is very dysfunctional in a lot of ways. But like more of this, you know, I think the warrior, wanting to train like a warrior is starting, like that's why maces are so popular. Maces are just not for everybody. And I don't think there's much of a market for maces to go fully mainstream because of how niche they are. With clubs, it's different. You can have fun with clubs. You can dance with clubs. You can train with clubs. You can freestyle with clubs. 1 pound, 5 pound, doesn't matter. It's for everybody. Women, kids. There's pictures. I have this old school book of Indian clubs. And I open it. There's pictures of women, like groups of women, like gymnastics with clubs in their hands. There's pictures of kids in school with clubs. This is not even 100. This is like 100 years ago.
Isn't that crazy? Because it's like a forgotten. It's like a forgotten thing. It's, you know, if you showed those pages or those videos to somebody, they'd go like, "Oh, how interesting!
How
like,
interesting!
Where is
that?
That's here.
That's here literally in America.
Right.
It was part of the Olympics in the 1920s. It was literally, I think, like 2 or 3 Olympic events. They literally had Indian club gymnastic routines of countries. This was 100 years ago. And so what was once popular can be popular once again with the right intention, and then modernized too, where it's not just standing in this military posture doing these basic movements. It's like, no, let's incorporate the hips. Let's incorporate, like, this is for everybody. I mean, from athletes that are throwers, like football players, baseball players, to someone who just wants to move better, runners who wants to feel better, who wants to look better, who wants to get more access of their posing on stage. I just believe for people that are old and just want to have less likelihood to get Alzheimer's or dementia, it's just, there's just a hole in the fitness industry that clubs can easily come and fill.
Yeah.
Everyone's interested now in, there's a lot of interest in yoga for the mobility aspect, but how about we just kill all the birds with one stone, right? How about we get the mobility? How about we get coordination? How about we get rhythm, athleticism, and then even layer on strength and power all in one system. Yeah. And that system is club training, whether it's Ageless Shoulders is just scratching the surface. So if you're just starting, Ageless Shoulders is a great place to start because you actually get your clubs and it's very basic stuff. But then from there, there's just the whole rabbit hole you can go down and get addicted to. And it's
Yeah, you could, like a lot of things in life, you can take it as far as you want to take it. Like you've gotten into it heavily inside the last year, something you were exposed to and using years and years ago, but it was just part of the bigger picture. Now it's become the whole picture for your training. And as you start to kind of pull some other things that you like back into the fold, like heavy sandbags or some kettlebell stuff, some mace stuff, body weight. But there's so many great ways to train and to move your body. And obviously Indian clubs should be part of that. They really are truly fun to use. You do them and you feel good while you're doing them. You feel better after doing them. And they're fun. I'm interested in getting my son involved in doing the basic movements from Ageless Shoulders. Like just get him doing that as a pitcher in baseball.
Oh, that's going to help him.
That's what I'm saying, just immensely.
I don't understand how this is still not a thing with athletic training. Like, actually, I watched the podcast of Gronk. Rob Gronkowski, who was on the Bucks and who was on the Patriots.
Brady's right hand.
Brady's right hand, football player who had a lot of success. And he was talking about his training and any regrets he had. And he said, I don't really know why they had us doing these bilateral barbell lifts. A lot of these football players are getting hurt more in training than they are in their games, and it's not preparing them for their games. They're just trying to build this idea of absolute strength with a barbell, but that's not real strength. They should be lifting, sandbags if you're a position like a linebacker. But for quarterbacks, they're doing their little bands and stuff, but it's like, why are you not training with clubs? Why are you not just the basic front mill, and then you incorporate the hips and shoulders for baseball players and you could do both sides. Yeah. Whereas you're actually getting, let's say you're a baseball pitcher that only throws right. Well, most of the time you're probably only training the right. If you also train the left, you get more of that synchronization, and then you're going to be more resilient overall and have a longer lasting career by just training with these 1 to 5 pound clubs.
That's right.
That's mimicking your throwing pattern. That's much better than overhead pressing barbells and bench pressing and all this other garbage, which has no place for athletic training, in my opinion. And I think that as we progress more and more beyond the barbaric ages of just bodybuilding and powerlifting being the only paradigm, I think that athletic training will also evolve, and clubs should be at the forefront for any throwing, boxing, baseball, football, hockey, tennis, pickleball, all these sports. If they incorporate clubs, that's the future.
No doubt training. About it. Yeah, don't get me going on racket sports. How amazing those are too for just overall coordination and lateral motion of the body, and just so great. Part of my talk, is highlighting tennis as being such a great activity mentally.
Tennis is the great reasons why tennis is so great is also the reasons why club is so great.
Yep.
It's the same.
Yep.
You could talk about hand-eye coordination about tennis. Well, there's hand-eye
strategy of connecting your movement to there's a lot of decision making happening in real time. Forward and back motion, side motion, up and down, everything you could possibly, just covering a tennis court or a pickleball court. There's just so much. Hey, speaking of which, did you see our pictures up in the kitchen now?
Oh, as the champions,
the
really?
Pickleball champs, and me.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, this will be the first time anyone's ever heard this. It's not like for you and me. It's a big deal. We do when we do our quarterly planning meetings here at Critical Bench. We typically, everybody flies in who's not in state, and we have a nice big group of us, and we typically have a day that's like our fun day. After we've done meetings for 3 days, we do a fun day, a team building day, where we go and do an activity of some kind. We've done lots of things over the years. We've done just boat day where we go out on a boat and have fun, but we've done stuff.
Tag.
Yeah, we've done laser tag. We've done pop stroke, the golf, the Tiger Woods. I think we've done Top Golf too, but the other one, the Tiger Woods one, that's up.
I wasn't there for that one.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. We've done ropes courses. We've done all kinds of stuff, but we did pickleball last time we all got together, and Zach and I were the champs, the big champs. Never lost that whole day.
The ones to beat.
Do you know we never lost?
We never
that
lost.
whole day.
Yeah. And you know why?
That was fun.
We were doing clubs.
Well, I let you.
We were doing clubs at that point.
We did. I let you dominate the front, just outside the kitchen. I let you be you were, and I just kind of hung back and just got all the deep stuff. But you were my, you probably hit 70% of the balls.
It's all the clubs.
That was fun though, man. What a fun day that was. But this is great. And so, the Ageless Shoulders program, as Zach said, it's kind of scratching the surface, but it's the great place to start. It's for the beginner. It's a gentle routine. These are 10-minute routines with a 1-pound Indian club. It's to help your shoulder move the way God intended it to move. And these ranges of motion are fabulous. I love the coaching. The instruction videos are great. So anyone watching this, you could know nothing, zero about Indian clubs. You will watch the introduction video, the coaching videos, and the follow along, and you will know everything you need to know, how to fluidly move. And if you're unsure, you go back and watch the coaching video again, as Zach just kind of like a trainer next to you, guiding you through how to do this. And then the follow along is great. I've already looked through all the product. I've seen everything. And it just looks so good. It spoke to me. I'm like, it got me excited to want to go out and do it myself. It's definitely a little bit inspiring, and it just looks fun. And so I encourage anybody listening, check the show notes, the show description. You'll see the link there, agelessshoulders.com. If you're just listening, just type it up.
And I would suggest for those of you listening, thinking about the program when you're looking into it, I suggest you get the advanced version. So if you get the basic Ageless Shoulders, it comes with 1 club.
That's right.
Which is great, right? You could do your front mills, your side mills, your squat flow. These exercises are foundational and great. But just for a little bit of extra money, you get the advanced version. You get 2 clubs.
Yeah.
As well as the advanced routine and all that.
Yeah.
But with 2 clubs...
Definitely more dynamic, but more fun.
2
movements.
Clubs is where you really get the mental benefits, because now you got both arms working at the same time. And in Ageless Shoulders, we don't get into the asymmetrical bilateral movements where one arm's doing one thing and the other arm's doing other thing. But at least then you go through the program, you have your 2 clubs, then you can get a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole. So for anyone considering getting it, I suggest getting the advanced version that comes with 2 clubs.
Mm-hmm. And there's some troubleshooting content in there too. If you have rounded shoulders or clicking shoulders, stuff that helps posture, some really extra good material that comes with it. So a real comprehensive program. We had so much fun putting it together, and it's really Zach's creation. We just saw him through the process, and really proud of it, and hope it can be a huge benefit. No, I know it can be a benefit, as you do. If people are consistent, as we alluded to before, when you're doing something good for your body and you're doing it regularly, you're going to get the benefits down the line. It's just sticking with things.
With clubs, I think it's even less of a delayed
I feel it's instant.
I feel like it's almost instant. Actually, I'm teaching a class now, exercise physiology class, and a big portion of it is Indian clubs. And one of my students is a beach volleyball player who's had shoulder surgery. He has a torn labrum.
Very common issue with volleyball players.
Very common.
Shoulder problems.
He has a torn labrum. He had surgery, a torn rotator cuff, his infraspinatus. And so he's young, and he's still playing. And I taught him Indian clubs, just one day of going to the class, teaching them the basic things. I taught him at that day, it was the front mill, the back mill, the side mills, and then the squat flow. Actually, that's pretty much everything that's in the basic Ageless Shoulders. He went and played the next day, literally just one day of the most basic things, where most of me teaching him was him just getting lost and trying to get the coordinations down. And then he got it. One day he said, "Oh my God, I go to hit the balls with he's a right-handed, and that's the one that got operated on." And he said he had so much more follow through, and he felt that his brain could trust his shoulder to go all the way. Whereas before, when he was hitting the ball, his shoulder would kind of stop because it didn't feel stable. So he wouldn't get full power on his hits, and it would almost stop halfway. Whereas just one day of the most basic things, he was like, "Oh my God, I feel more of a follow through, and my arm can just go all the way and get more power." He was sold. Immediately from experiential, him feeling it, he was sold on Indian clubs. Now he's one of the most passionate kids in the class. That's like like wanting to learn more.
I want more, right?
He wants.
That was
He already
one
bought
day.
his. He's like bought his own regular black plastic clubs, and now he bought it. He's like, they're so much more expensive, but I love them. He got the wooden
The
ones.
wood ones,
And
yeah.
I was just like,
I know you're really passionate about your new wood clubs
the
that
wood
you've been
clubs.
getting. And you have that awesome rack that you have
I
in
went
the
all out.
house.
I went all
you're
out.
going all out. I know. You're all in, dude. Hey, it's good though. It's great to take on new things, hobbies, if you will, that are your pet, but it does so much good for you, and in turn you can benefit other people. You're inspiring movement in other people with your content. And I see the comments and stuff. I put comments in myself all the time, but I see people are really encouraged and really enjoy it. They get a lot out of it. So it's all the way around. It's a huge benefit.
Yeah, I mean, that, like you said, like for me, actually, this goes back to the question you asked in the beginning. What kind of spurred this current phase of me just being all in on clubs? And it was actually, I think, back in February or January, I did this is not health advice. I'm not encouraging anybody to do this. Definitely don't start here.
You mean like a year ago?
No, I'm talking about this late January. So a couple months ago.
Oh, just okay.
A couple months ago, I did a 5-day dry fast. And again, I'm not encouraging you to do this. This is not health advice.
That's right. I
I'm not a
remember you
doctor,
talking about that.
But on the 4th day and the 5th morning of this dry fast, I had the most spiritual moment of my life where God literally shook me to my core and said, clubs. God literally was like, clubs, that's why you're here. Like, one of the main reasons why you're here, clubs. This is like, nobody else is doing it. You're the club guy. And that was it. Everything else, all up, because my personality, I tend to have way too many interests in too many things, especially in terms of movement and health, that it's like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. Well, that 5-day dry fast
got some clarity.
Very like almost scary clarity of like, this is you. Like, if it's not you, it's going to be someone else, and then you're going to regret that it wasn't you in the future. So it's like, that's it. That 5-day dry fast, I got the closest I've ever been to God, and God told me, clubs.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
We could have a whole...
I was going to say, we might have to do one on fasting.
We could have a whole episode on fasting.
I know. And we have talked about it, obviously. We've, years ago, one of our top performing episodes all time is when Mike and I talked with Elliot about his 14-day rational fasting program, which not quite a 5-day fast, but had spurts of 3-day fasts with ketogenic meals in between, which had a profound impact on me for 2 weeks. 17 days total, but amazing. Weight loss, clarity, overcome, just the discipline required, just overcoming the need for sugar and all these things. Unbelievable. So a little side dose of fasting for everybody listening.
We could have a whole episode.
I know, we will.
There's a lot of misconceptions.
We'll have you back because you've done a lot of fasting in your time. And so I'd be interested in doing that and talking about that in particular. But this is a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming in and taking the time to talk about your love for Indian clubs and Ageless Shoulders program.
5 hours.
I know you could. You got to get out of here so you can go do some Indian club training. I know you probably already did some this morning.
I already did.
Of course you did. You got up
those Persian clubs.
I know you did. It's so great. So, remind everybody listening of your Instagram.
Yeah, so Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all these things. It's the same thing. It's Zenergy Fit with 2 Z's. So it's ZZ_Energy_fit.
Awesome. And so much good content, video content on there for people to watch.
2 to 3 times a day I'm posting, mostly clubs.
Yeah. So
some
good.
hernia stuff.
So good. Clubs. Well, thanks, Zach.
Thanks for having me.
All the best, brother. Listeners, another terrific conversation. As I told you, I hope this has inspired you to maybe try something new, to check out the Ageless Shoulders program. Easy for me to say, agelesshoulders.com. It's in the show notes, of course. And I do love it. I think it's a huge benefit to anyone interested in taking their body, their shoulders to another level. You could certainly find that inside this program. And this has been fun, as always, on the Strong by Design podcast. Keep coming back for more as we have life-changing conversations with amazing people like Coach Zach. We'll talk to you again next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. If you found value in today's episode,
Please subscribe so that more people can find out about our show. Plus, you don't want to miss any future episodes with the amazing guests and topics we have lined up for you.